Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason your goals feel like a dream that never becomes real. There's a reason you start things and never finish. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're not meant for it. It's because something deeper is missing: consistency, discipline, and mindset. And until you fix that, you'll stay stuck in the cycle of defeat. But today, we're breaking that cycle. Asterisk, there's a quiet war being fought in the hearts of people today. A war not of weapons, not of politics, but of purpose. Too many are drifting alive, but not living. They wake up tired, not because they need rest, but because they lack direction. They scroll through life, hoping to find meaning in moments. When meaning was never meant to be found, it was meant to be built. And how do you build meaning? Not through temporary motivation, not through hype or hollow promises, but through the slow, steady climb of consistency, the tough, relentless sacrifice of discipline, and the unshakable armor of a mindset anchored in purpose. If you're tired of starting over, if you're exhausted from watching others rise, while you fall back into old habits, if you've questioned why you haven't become who you were meant to be, then this message is for you, because today, we're going to expose the root of the problem and give you the truth that can finally set you free. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't grab attention. It doesn't come with applause or spotlights. It's quiet. It's repetitive. And that's why most people ignore it. But it is the very foundation of every transformation. You see, too many people want results without rhythm. They want change without commitment. They want victory without the valley. But the truth is, what you do repeatedly, not occasionally, defines the person you become. It is easy to be passionate for a day. Anyone can wake up early once. Anyone can go to the gym one time. Anyone can read a book on a Sunday and feel like they've changed. But the difference between a moment of motivation and a life of transformation is the choice to repeat the action when the feeling fades. That's consistency. And without it, your potential dies in your intentions. How many goals have been abandoned? Not because they weren't possible, but because someone didn't stay consistent long enough to let them grow? We often compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that behind every great person is 1,000 days of boring faithfulness. Behind every moment of public victory is a private journey of repetitive, unseen, unnoticed effort. The seed grows in the soil before it blossoms in the sun. But in today's world, we want the fruit before we've even dug the dirt. We chase speed instead of stability. And that's why so many people start with fire and end in ashes. Consistency builds habits, and habits build identity. You don't just do consistent things, you become a consistent person. And who you are becoming is far more important than what you're doing. When you brush your teeth every day, you don't think about it, you've become the kind of person who takes care of themselves. When you read, write, serve, or study with commitment every single day, you start becoming the kind of person who follows through. That's what consistency does. It rewires your mind. It forges your character. It makes excellence not an event, but a way of life. And let me tell you something. Consistency doesn't need to be big to be powerful. Small actions, repeated over time, produce monumental results. The Grand Canyon wasn't carved by a single wave, it was carved by steady, persistent flow. It wasn't a flood that shaped it. It was the faithfulness of water over time. Likewise, the version of you that you long to become will not be built in one breakthrough moment, but in your willingness to show up again and again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's silent, even when it seems like nothing is changing. The danger is when we don't see instant results, we assume it isn't working. We quit the gym because the mirror doesn't speak after 2 weeks. We leave the dream because the platform isn't built in a month. We stop trying to improve our relationships because one hard conversation didn't fix it. But consistency isn't about immediate reward. It's about delayed transformation. It's about trusting the process even when the results haven't caught up yet. You must become faithful in the dark, faithful in the mundane, faithful when it feels like no one sees you. Because what you build in those hidden seasons is what sustains you when the spotlight finally turns your way. That's why the people who truly succeed are not the ones with the most talent, the most luck, or the most connections. They are the ones who didn't stop. They are the ones who chose to keep moving forward when everything in them said turn back. Consistency also requires decision. Every single day you're making a choice. Will I feed the old version of me or the new one I claim to want? Will I go back to comfort or step into calling? Will I listen to excuses or will I act on purpose? You can't wait to feel like it. You can't wait for the conditions to be perfect. You can't wait for motivation to knock on your door like a morning visitor. You must decide to be consistent even when you feel weak, even when life is loud, even when it doesn't seem worth it. Because every act of consistency is an act of defiance against mediocrity. And yes, it will get lonely. Because not everyone is willing to pay that price. Not everyone will understand why you wake up early, why you sacrifice comfort, why you keep doing the same thing over and over again. They'll call it obsession. They'll call it unnecessary. But what they don't realize is that consistency is not a cage, it's a key. The key that unlocks everything you were created to be. The world might not celebrate it. People might not praise it, but heaven honors it. Purpose rewards it. Destiny requires it. When you feel like quitting, remember, you don't need to take huge leaps. You just need to take one more step. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep doing the next right thing. Don't underestimate the power of daily faithfulness. Don't despise the small beginnings, because every great story started with someone who kept showing up. Someone who refused to let discouragement win. Someone who didn't need applause to stay committed. Someone who kept building when it looked like nothing was growing. Consistency doesn't promise comfort, but it guarantees change. It doesn't always look impressive, but it always leads to progress. And it may take months, it may take years, but one day, what you kept doing in the dark will rise and speak louder than any word you ever said. The world won't remember what you wanted, they'll remember what you built. Asterisk. Keynote 2. Discipline is the bridge between desire and result. Desire is where the dream begins, but it's not where the dream is fulfilled. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants success, health, peace, freedom, influence. But very few are willing to do what it actually takes to get there. Wanting something costs you nothing. Working for it demands everything. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is not the spark that ignites your journey, it's the engine that carries you through it. It is the quiet force that transforms your deepest desires into real results. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't come with fireworks. It's not posted on social media. You won't get a pat on the back for getting up before sunrise or skipping the easy way out. But it's in those moments, the moments where you make hard choices when no one's watching, that your destiny is being carved. Discipline is what you do when motivation dies. Discipline is what you lean on when your emotions betray you. Discipline is the voice that whispers, "Do it anyway," when your mind screams, "Not today." Many people pray for change, but they don't prepare for it. They cry out for purpose, but they won't part with their comfort. Discipline is the line that separates dreamers from doers. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't apply pressure through discipline, it will remain buried, unused, and forgotten. It is not enough to want to be better. You must be willing to train for it, sacrifice for it, suffer for it. The greatness you're praying for will cost you the version of you that refuses to be disciplined. You'll never reach your full capacity by doing what's convenient. Discipline means choosing the path of resistance when the easy road is available. It means turning down temptation when no one else would blame you for giving in. It means sticking to your commitments when you feel like giving up, when the world says quit, when your feelings tell you to fold. It means showing up in silence and trusting that the outcome will be worth the obedience. People often think discipline is about punishment, but true discipline is about purpose. It's not about denying yourself for the sake of pain. It's about denying yourself for the sake of power. Power over your impulses. Power over your laziness. Power over your fears. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aligned. When your actions align with your values, your life gains a weight, a meaning, a strength that comfort can never give. Discipline is the fire that burns the impurities from your path. It purifies your intentions. It tests your commitment. It reveals what you truly want. Because anyone can say they want something, but your habits will expose your truth. Your patterns will always preach louder than your promises. You say you want to be free from addiction, but do you discipline your environment? You say you want to be great, but do you discipline your time? You say you want to lead, but do you discipline your thoughts, your words, your reactions? Discipline forces you to confront the difference between fantasy and faithfulness. Every time you choose discipline, you take back control. You are no longer ruled by emotion or circumstance. You become someone who is moved by principle, not pressure. That kind of person is rare. That kind of person is dangerous to the status quo. That kind of person can walk into a storm and keep their peace. That kind of person can stand alone and not be shaken. And the world is desperate for people like that. People who live from the inside out, not the outside in. But let's be honest, discipline hurts. It's uncomfortable. It stretches you. It pushes against your pride. It calls out your excuses. It exposes your laziness. It invites you to become someone you've never been before, and that's terrifying. But it's also liberating, because in the fire of discipline, the chains of mediocrity are broken. You begin to realize you are not your feelings. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are what you choose to become. And every disciplined choice you make brings you one step closer to that version of you. Discipline is also protection. It guards you from regret. It shields you from guilt. It builds a life that doesn't crumble under pressure because it wasn't built on impulse, it was built on integrity. When you discipline your life, you stop reacting to everything around you and start responding with intention. You stop chasing pleasure and start producing fruit. You stop being a victim of time and start becoming a steward of it. There are no shortcuts with discipline. You either do the work or you don't. You either rise when the alarm goes off or you don't. You either stay faithful to the promise you made to yourself or you break it. And each time you choose discipline, you reinforce that you are trustworthy, that your word means something, that you are not here to live by default, you are here to live by design. You must understand the life you long for is on the other side of the things you don't feel like doing. The version of you that walks in purpose is hiding behind a wall built from early mornings, lonely decisions, delayed gratification, and consistent sacrifice. Discipline is the ladder that helps you climb that wall. It doesn't give you wings, but it gives you the strength to rise one step at a time. Even in the face of weakness, even in seasons of failure, discipline can carry you. Because it's not about being perfect, it's about refusing to quit. It's about showing up again, even if yesterday was a mess. It's about choosing what's right, even if it costs you your comfort, your popularity, your pride. It's about dying to who you used to be so you can live as the person you were born to become. If you keep relying on motivation, you will always be inconsistent. If you keep waiting for the mood to strike, you will always be stuck. But if you master discipline, if you learn how to do the hard things, Even when they hurt, you will unlock a life that most people only ever dream. OF. Your mindset is the lens through which you see everything. It's the gatekeeper of your actions, the thermostat of your emotions, and the blueprint of your future. Long before a person rises or falls in life, they rise or fall in their mind. You don't lose when the world says you're done. You lose the moment your mind agrees with the lies. And that's why mindset matters more than talent, more than background, more than circumstances. Because if you can win the battle in your mind, you can win in your life. Everything you do flows from what you believe. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. If you believe that failure defines you, you'll stop before you start. But if you believe that pain has a purpose, that delay doesn't mean denial, that trials shape strength, then you will endure what others run from. It's not about positive thinking, it's about powerful truth. What you hold in your mind will eventually shape what you hold in your hand. Your mindset either builds bridges or builds walls. If you walk around with a defeated mind, every challenge looks like a threat. Every inconvenience becomes a reason to quit. Every setback feels like the end. But if your mind is rooted in purpose, grounded in grit, then challenges become training grounds. Setbacks become setups. Failure becomes feedback. Life will still hit you hard, but your mindset will determine whether you get buried by the blow or built by it. Many people never reach their full potential, not because they lack opportunity, but because their mind is imprisoned. Imprisoned by fear, paralyzed by self-doubt, chained by what others said about them. But what others say about you doesn't define you unless you let it. Your mind is your territory, and if you don't guard it, the enemy will occupy it. The voices of failure, fear, insecurity, and shame will echo so loud that you'll forget what you were created to do. That's why you must renew your mind daily. You must speak truth over your life, even when your feelings don't agree. You must replace every lie with a declaration of who you truly are. Mindset is not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's not about ignoring pain or acting like struggle doesn't exist. It's about deciding that pain will not control you. That fear will not stop you. That struggle will not define you. It's about learning to think higher, to think deeper, to think stronger. It's about aligning your thoughts with your purpose so that no matter what storm comes, your roots remain unshaken. A weak mindset says, "I'll never make it." A strong mindset says, "Even if it takes time, I'm not quitting." A weak mindset seeks comfort. A strong mindset seeks growth. A weak mindset blames. A strong mindset takes ownership. The difference isn't in what you face, it's in how you face it. Two people can walk through the same fire. One will come out refined. The other will come out ruined. The fire didn't decide their future, their mindset did. The truth is, you can train your mind the same way you train your body. You can build mental strength by feeding it with truth, exercising it with discipline, stretching it with challenges, and resting it with peace. But it won't happen by accident. You must be intentional. You must wake up and decide that your mind will not be a dumping ground for doubt, fear, and comparison. You must protect your mental space like you protect your most valuable treasure. Because your mindset will either multiply your effort or drain your energy. It will either help you stay focused or keep you stuck. The world constantly tries to shape your thinking. You're told you're not enough. You're told to stay in line. You're told to be realistic. But you weren't born to live according to the world's limits. You were born to renew your mind, to rise with clarity, to walk with courage. And that takes more than just wishing. It takes mental warfare. Because every single day, thoughts will come that try to pull you backward. Thoughts that say, you can't, you shouldn't, you're not ready. And if you don't speak back to those thoughts with truth, They'll become your reality. You can't control what thoughts come to your mind, but you can control what you let stay. Just like a bird can fly over your head, but you don't have to let it build a nest. The same is true with your mindset. When fear knocks, you don't have to answer. When shame whispers, you don't have to listen. You have the authority to choose what thoughts grow and what thoughts die. And that authority is what makes mindset so powerful. It puts the responsibility back in your hands. When your mindset is right, your energy changes. Your presence changes. Your resilience grows. People may not understand it, but they'll feel it, because mindset can't be faked. It's something that leaks out of your words, your posture, your consistency. A person with the right mindset walks differently. They speak differently. They carry hope in places others carry doubt. They see possibilities in places others see problems. They endure storms without losing their vision. Because their strength is not rooted in how easy life is, it's rooted in how deep their mind is planted. The journey ahead will not always be smooth. Life will test you. You will be disappointed. People will let you down. You will face delay, rejection, and failure. But if your mind is rooted in purpose, none of that can destroy you. You'll be shaken, but not shattered. You'll bend, but you won't break. Because your mindset will remind you that every moment is part of the process. Every struggle is shaping you. Every tear has a purpose. Every step, even the hard ones, is taking you closer to the person you're becoming. Your mindset doesn't guarantee an easy life, but it does give you the strength to live the life you were made for. It allows you to move forward when everything says stop. It gives you clarity when the world is full of noise. It gives you power when you feel weak and peace when everything feels chaotic. And that mindset, that deeply anchored, truth-filled, disciplined mindset, is what separates those who merely survive from those who rise and live with purpose. There are moments in life when a person has the desire but not the discipline, the vision but not the consistency, the hope but not the mindset. And that's where the frustration begins, when one part of your foundation is strong but the others are crumbling. You feel like you're moving but going nowhere. You're doing all the right things on the surface, but deep inside, you know something is missing. That's because greatness doesn't come from one element working in isolation. Real transformation happens when consistency, discipline, and mindset align, when they function together. Not as scattered efforts, but as a united force working toward purpose. Too many people try to build their lives like a puzzle with missing pieces. They develop discipline for a short season, but because they lack mindset, their actions eventually collapse under the weight of insecurity and doubt. Others work hard to cultivate a strong, positive mindset, but because they lack consistency, they can't sustain the results. Some begin with strong habits, but because they're not built on a disciplined heart, they fall apart the moment pressure comes. One without the others is not enough. Consistency without purpose becomes routine. Discipline without mindset becomes rigid control. Mindset without action becomes empty belief. There's a power that's unlocked when you commit to developing all three. Consistency teaches you to keep showing up. Discipline teaches you to show up with focus and sacrifice. Mindset teaches you why you're showing up and who you're becoming in the process. It's like a three-legged foundation. Remove one, and the whole structure starts to tilt. But when all three stand together, even the strongest storm can't shake what's been built. Consistency is the movement. It's the rhythm of your growth. It says, no matter how I feel, I'm going to stay the course. But without discipline, that movement lacks power. Discipline brings strength to your steps. It says, even when it's painful, I choose obedience over comfort. And mindset gives those steps meaning. It speaks to the purpose behind every action. The belief that what you're doing is bigger than your feelings, your fatigue, or your frustration. Together, these three form a holy alliance, one that shapes identity, fuels purpose, and creates a life rooted in resilience. When your mind is aligned, you think with purpose. When your discipline is strong, you act with intention. When your consistency is unwavering, you build with momentum. That's how legacy is built. Not in one moment of inspiration, but through the daily grind of living with structure, focus, and belief. It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's the result of invisible work multiplied over time, driven by values deeper than comfort. But this kind of unity doesn't happen by default. It must be cultivated. It requires you to confront the war within yourself. The war between what you want now and what you want most. The war between how you feel and what you believe. The war between comfort and calling. Every single day, these forces are at odds. And if you're not intentional, if you don't guard your mind, discipline your habits, and show up consistently, you'll find yourself drifting, pulled away from your purpose. Not by one giant failure, but by 1,000 small compromises. This is why so many dreams die quietly. Not because they weren't possible, but because people tried to build them on motivation alone. Motivation is like the wind. It changes direction. It rises and falls. But consistency, discipline, and mindset are like stone. They anchor you. They make you immovable. They allow you to stand strong even when the emotion disappears. You don't need hype when you have structure. You don't need applause when you've trained your soul to be steady. You don't need approval when you know your actions are aligned with your values. When these three elements work together, you stop chasing results and start becoming someone who attracts them. You stop asking, "How long will it take?" and start asking, "How far can I go if I refuse to quit?" You stop looking at others and comparing their speed and start focusing on your own depth. Because suddenly, you understand that it's not about impressing the world. It's about becoming who you were called to be. And that requires more than a wish. It requires a system. That system is built on consistency, discipline, and mindset. Three forces that, when combined, create unstoppable momentum. Think about any area of your life where you feel stuck. Is it your health, your purpose, your habits, your relationships? Now ask yourself, what's missing? Are you showing up but without direction? Are you focused but easily derailed by emotion? Are you motivated but only on the good days? Chances are one of the three is either missing or underdeveloped. The good news is that they can all be strengthened. They are not gifts, they are choices. You don't have to be born with them, you have to build them. And building them will require sacrifice. You will have to say no to things that feel good in the moment but rob you in the long run. You will have to embrace discomfort not as punishment, but as preparation. You will have to train your mind to see obstacles as opportunities, setbacks as shaping tools, pain as a purifier. And every time you choose to align your mindset, your discipline, and your consistency, you'll gain something deeper than success. You'll gain authority over your own life. There will be times when your consistency will carry you while your mindset wavers. There will be days when your discipline will push you when your emotions betray you. And there will be seasons where your mindset will hold your vision steady while your actions feel small. That's the beauty of this triad. They support each other. They reinforce each other. And they carry you through the days when one of them feels weak. Like a cord of three strands, they form a foundation that doesn't break under pressure. When you see someone who lives with clarity, strength, and impact, you're not seeing luck, you're seeing alignment. You're seeing someone who learned how to train their mind, shape their habits, and build their life one consistent step at a time. They didn't just dream about it, they built it. They didn't just talk about it, they walked it. Because at some point, They realize that living on purpose requires more than emotion. It requires a system built on the daily choice to stay focused, stay faithful, and stay grounded. There comes a time in every life when the excuses must die and the decision must be made. A moment when the person you were meets the person you're meant to become. And that moment is not built on emotion, it's built on consistency, discipline, and mindset. These aren't motivational buzzwords. These are the pillars of transformation. If even one is missing, you'll remain stuck in cycle starting. Strong but never finishing, dreaming big but never building, wanting change but always retreating when it gets hard. Consistency is what keeps you moving forward when life feels ordinary. It's what transforms good intentions into lasting impact. Discipline is what keeps you aligned when your feelings scream for comfort. It trains your spirit to submit to something higher than pleasure. And mindset is what shapes how you respond to every storm, every failure, every delay. It is the compass. In a world full of distractions, the voice that says keep going when everything says turn back. This life was never meant to be lived randomly. You were never meant to drift, to wander through life reacting to every emotion, chasing every distraction, settling for every excuse. You were created with purpose. But purpose doesn't fulfill itself. It takes effort. It takes structure. It takes you waking up each day and deciding, before the world speaks, before your doubts speak, that your life will be built on truth, not feelings, on vision, not validation. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have the perfect past. What you need is to show up. What you need is to stay the course. What you need is to believe with your mind, act with discipline, and move with consistency. Because when these three rise together, there's nothing ordinary about the life you can build. That's not just motivation, that's transformation. That's a foundation strong enough to carry the future you were born to live.